So I think the stigma exists around death. We don't talk about it. We try to pretend in many ways that we're going to live forever and it's never going to affect us.
Generally speaking, I think we live in a pretty death-phobic society, and it's not a topic that people are quick to start having at the dinner table. But I think more and more people are curious and kind of stepping into their own self-agency about what they want.
I think is important to acknowledge is that because we have been a death-phobic culture, people don't like to think about dying.
I mean, all you have to do is think about it for a minute, and you know that dying is inevitable. We all hope that it doesn't interrupt the flow of our life, that it happens sort of at the right time, which we all imagine is some ways way down the road.
Well, we're all gonna die, so we have to start talking about it, because so many people have really a challenging time at the end of their life because they didn't have the conversation.
These discussions are always difficult, but it's easier to have them before somebody's in the hospital, before something happens, to have had these conversations and have a sense of what you and your loved ones would want when there's a serious illness or an accident.
We're all living in a world where we're vulnerable to accident, to illness, to things happening that might quickly change the course of our life.
So having the conversation ahead of time before you get to the point of dying, I think can alleviate so many stressors, and it can really allow friends and family to get comfy and kind of step into being present with the experience and the sort of the magic that dying is, because I think there's something really remarkable about that process, and when we can come together and sit with it and be with each other and love each other.
What's really important is that there be a way and a system to be able to help people through that when it happens, because we don't talk about it, we don't prepare for it very well.
People always think it's too early to have these conversations. They always think, I don't want to talk about that. But we always say it's never too early until it's too late.
So this isn't just a conversation for people over 65. This is a conversation that people should be having in their families, and that younger people should be having with their parents. So we can have a conversation, and it takes multiple conversations. So for me to know what my parents wanted at the end of life, it took a lot of different conversations for me to understand that. And for my kids to understand what I want, it means that we have to be willing to engage in that, so I can have it. I can say, this, if I have a heart attack, don't call 911. I don't want CPR, because I know the statistics for CPR, that about 8% of people come back from CPR fully functional. And that percentage is not a very good percentage for someone my age. So if that's the way my body goes, then hold my hand, tell me you love me, and let me go. And I think that's very challenging for families to do if they haven't had the conversation. But if they have, it's not easy. Dying, watching someone you love die is never easy. But it is so much easier when you know that they've been part of the choice of the way they die.
It's really a gift to your family and to your loved ones to know ahead of time what you want. It's so challenging if someone that you love is in the hospital and you realize you don't know what they would want you to do.
The Palliative Care Institute sponsors lots of community events, and I love it when younger people come and they engage in that conversation. So we do events around how you build your own advanced care plan.
An advance directive usually has two parts. So one part, you appoint somebody to be your power of attorney for healthcare. So in a scenario where you had a serious illness or injury and you weren't able to speak for yourself, that person would have the power to make your medical decisions, or to follow through on the medical decisions that you would want to have made for you. So the second part that's really important of that is the healthcare directive or the living will. And that's where you lay out very specifically what care you'd want in that scenario, so that your healthcare agent can carry out those wishes.
When we don't have the proper tools and resources ahead of time planned out, then I think it can really disrupt that process of being present.
So part of the goal of the Palliative Care Institute is to engage the community in conversations about dying long before it's a crisis.
So having these conversations, having those documents filled out and available to your doctors, to the hospital, to your healthcare agents and your family and friends, makes those, again, these situations will never be easy, but they can be a little bit easier if we've had these conversations ahead of time and people in our lives know what's important to us when we're facing these really challenging situations.